Hello and welcome to WightWanderer and another Viewpoint episode, which, if you don't know, is a series of videos in which I find the best viewpoints on the island and the best footpaths to take to get to them. As you can probably tell, I'm in front of the Sun Inn, which means I'm in Calbourne, a lovely little village situated on the west side of the island. Starting here in Calbourne, I will be travelling up to Brightstone Down and then down to Limerstone Down, then eventually to Shorwell, a village which is steeped in history, but more importantly, it has another pub. And as they do say, you should always plan your journeys between watering holes. The quaint little village of Calbourne is reachable via the number 7 bus, hopping off at the Sun Inn, which, as a side note, does some rather splendid burgers and is a great place to park your camper van for the night, charging a mere £10 per stay. The entire parish of Calbourne includes the rather isolated but picturesque villages of Newtown, Porchfield and of course Calbourne itself. It was at one time one of the wealthiest parishes on the island, thanks to the once thriving trading port at Newtown, previously known as Francheville. After the French invasion though of 1377, Newtown was almost completely destroyed, and much of its surrounding area has since become one of the most naturally diverse places on the entire island. Because of this, villages like Calbourne have retained much of their periodical architecture, and Calbourne in particular is well known for its postcard English village type beauty. The two best known marvels in the area being Calbourne Mill, which is first known to have appeared in scripture in 1299, and of course Winkle Street. Known originally as Barrington Row, the street is possibly the most famous on the island, retaining its original 18th century thatched cottages in a scene of evocative charm. Perhaps less mentioned, but certainly just as significant, is the beautiful All Saints Church, which sits splendid in the centre of the village and has, amongst other things, a rather fetching looking organ. The original chapel was actually built by the Normans and featured in the Domesday Book of 1086. The only remains of the original structure are a bit of masonry in the west wall. Most of the church as we see it today actually dates from the 1300s, with exception of the tower, which was destroyed by lightning in 1683 and rebuilt in 1752. As much as I could hang around all day though, looking at pretty old churches, it's time to get a stomp on, heading south down Lynch Lane towards the footpath. Along the way, we pass the entrance to Westover House, built by Thomas Holmes in 1760, though much of its surviving architecture dates to the early 1800s. The private house itself is now a Grade 2 listed building. As we hit the footpath, we start to climb slowly but steadily up towards the summit of Brightstone Down, across fields which seem to last forever. Bit of a long slow slog up the public right of way, up the hill towards Brightstone Down, which is the highest point on the walk. But every now and then you get to look back over where you came. You can see Calbourne over there in the distance. And also beyond that, you can see Yarmouth. As we continue up to the edge of the field, we reach a dense wooded area and much needed shelter from the sun. Amongst these woodlands once lay a diverse prehistoric landscape, with the trees hiding a plethora of Neolithic and Bronze Age burrows, the most conspicuous of which being Galloburys Hump, possibly the largest of all the round burrows on the island. Eventually, after a beautifully eerie walk through the quiet woodland, we reach the summit. We've now reached Brightstone Down at 214 metres above sea level. It's the highest point on the walk and also the fourth highest hill on the island. Unfortunately though, from here, because of the foliage, you can't really get a good view of the surrounding area. But no matter, because as we descend towards Limerstone Down, the scenes become a lot more spectacular. Although the views from Brightstone Down aren't the most formidable, The history of this place is rather interesting and somewhat mysterious, especially if we take a look at an old map like this one from the 1860s. Besides from indicating many burrows now hidden amongst the trees, there is also an anomaly on the map which seems to be marked as Combe Tower. I must confess, this was a structure I had never heard of before, and as it turns out, I'm not the only one. Not a lot of info on this structure exists online, but after a bit of research, I discovered that this was in fact a cairn, a towering stone structure built as a memorial. The person to which the cairn was in memory of was Catherine Ball, part of the Ball family who once owned North Court Manor. Catherine would spend much of her time up here with her sister Elizabeth, and when she tragically died in 1795, Elizabeth built the cairn in her memory. Unfortunately, it has long disappeared, thought to have been dismantled during World War II. This isn't the only anomaly though on the map. Perhaps more significantly, there seems to be various areas either side of the route marked as abandoned villages. I can find little to no information on these whatsoever, and to me at least, for now, they remain a mystery. If you have any information on these ghost villages indicated on the map, then please do leave a comment below. I'll be intrigued to find out more about these abandoned settlements and the beautiful wilderness that surrounds them. As we head towards Limerstone Down, or as I recently found out after filming is actually pronounced Limerstone, we briefly encounter the route of Walk the Wight Trail, as it emerges from the trees and reveals the landscape of Brighstone and the coast along Military Road to Freshwater Bay. Brighstone's original name was Brixton, and the parish itself also encompassed the smaller villages of Brook, Wolverton and Limerstone. In fact, the entire parish is situated within an official area of outstanding natural beauty. Here though, rather than continuing along the Walk the Wight Trail, we swing east towards Shorwell. And as we climb towards the summit of Limerstone Down, the views open up over the back of the island. Now on top of Limerstone Down we have this rather superb looking toposcope which gives you a good indication as to what direction and how far certain locations are from this point exactly on and off the island. And apparently according to this, Guernsey, the Channel Island, is 93 miles in that direction. Although I wouldn't recommend walking it, of course, unless you had some good wellies. Before heading down to Shorwell, I just so happened to take another look at the location of Combe Tower on the old map. And as it turns out, this was a stroke of luck, as the tower was in fact located a lot further south than previously thought. This was in fact the spot, perched on a small unassuming hill overlooking Brighstone, where Catherine and Elizabeth once sat watching the ships on the horizon. As we continue on, we pass quarries and windswept landscapes, whilst treading a stone ridge overlooking the vast shades of green and blue. I do love some of the gates on this walk. They have some kind of elusive point to them. Maybe there's some kind of philosophical metaphor for something. Anyway, I'm now walking along the ridge towards Shorwell. As the locals will tell you, it's pronounced Shorwell. It's spelt Shorwell, but it definitely is Shorwell. And as we walk along this stone ridge high above the surrounding area, you can actually get a great view over West Court House. West Court is the oldest manor house of the three situated in the area, an Elizabethan manor dating back to the beginning of the 16th century. It is now quite a beautiful farm and B&B. The other two manor houses are North Court and of course Wolverton. Wolverton Estate takes its name from the Old English word wolfears, and featured much like the old chapel at Calbourne in the Domesday Book of 1086. The original manor house, though, was replaced in 1596 by the stunning Jacobean style building you can still see today. The third manor, Northcourt, was built by the Lee family in the early 1600s and is the largest manor house on the island. As previously stated, it once laid in the possession of MP Richard Bull, father of Elizabeth and Catherine. The family themselves held a passion for landscape design, constructing a mausoleum, an alpine bridge over Shorwell Chute, and of course the aforementioned cairn. Possibly the oldest significant building in the village, though, is St Peter's Church, with most of the north part of the chapel dating back to the 13th century. Extended over time and developed into a parish church by the Middle Ages, one of its most significant features is an original painting of St Christopher, dating to 1470. Shorwell's historical significance, though, doesn't just relate to the medieval period. There's evidence to suggest that this place was in fact a settlement way before that. In the 1960s, an archaeological dig in the middle of the village yielded a truly amazing discovery. As many as 400 flint tools, thought to date to the Mesolithic period, almost 7,000 years ago. It is rather likely then that Shorwell has remained a significant settlement over many thousands of years, where Mesolithic settlers would have lived and indeed constructed their own prehistoric homes and buildings on this very site. For me though, on what turned out to be the hottest day of the year so far, the only building I'm interested in, at least for the moment, is the local boozer. And here we are at the end of the walk in a lovely Crown Inn in Shorwell. They do a lovely pint of inches here, so as you can tell, I'm a very happy man. I hope you've enjoyed this walk as much as I've enjoyed filming it. And if you have enjoyed this walk, then please do check out the other walks we have on the channel. We also have a collection pot and music up on Bandcamp now for you to buy if you so wish. And we will see you again very soon. Thank you very much for watching. Cheers.